Hello, this is EG-100 Ethics Assignment, a group presentation about engineering ethics. Hello, my name is Wahid Ahmadi and I'll be talking about the issue in the case study and why it is an ethical issue. The case study that we have chosen is case study 1. This case study is about a recent graduate named Arwen who was employed by a large agricultural pesticide producer company. As she has been working on a product, She, she has been working on a product which she thinks has not yet been properly tested for all side effects that may affect the user's environment. However, her boss, who has been working for the company for 20 years, says that they have worked with similar materials before and they will list a general safety guidance as that would be more cost effective. The issue here is that the materials used for the pesticide may not have not yet been properly tested and it may affect the health of the user's working environment. However, her boss says to use the materials anyway. The definition of an ethical issue is a problem or situation that requires a person or organization to choose between alternatives that must be evaluated as right or wrong. The reason that this is an ethical issue is that she has the option to either tell her boss's superior about the issue, which would be the right thing to do, or say nothing and let the product to be distributed, which would be the wrong thing to do. This is because the pesticide may have a negative effect on the user's crops and ruin it. This would lead to the user not producing adequate crops and so affect his or her income. Another effect that the pesticide may have is that it could have a negative impact on the user's health when applying the pesticide to the crop. As an engineer, she has duties that she must uphold, such as ensuring the safety, health, and welfare of the public. So if she doesn't tell someone about it, it would be going against one of the codes of conduct. Another potential consequence could be that the pesticide may leave the user's land infertile. This would be a heavy blow to the user as he or she will no longer be able to grow crops on that area of land.
My name is Ife Oluwa and I will start by talking about the first two principles of the Royal Academy Statement of Principles. So, regarding the accuracy and rigor component of the Royal Academy Statement of Principles, this case study treads on rocky ethical terrain. Arwen does well by these principles, in that she displayed competence and thoroughness in her work by identifying the risk in her company's improper testing of the pesticide's side effects, and she seemed unwilling to let her boss be misled into thinking that the pesticide was properly tested when she brought the issue to light. Her boss, however, did not review her judgment objectively, glazing over her concerns due to his experience with similar materials and concerns about money. He also shows no desire for thoroughness in his work by insisting the company will follow a general safety guidance for this new improperly tested product. Now, in reference to the second principle of the Royal Academy Statement of Principles, honesty and integrity, regarding this component, there is no smooth ethical sailing regarding this case study as well. Now, Arwen again displayed her reliability as an engineer and willingness to avoid deceiving the potential users of her created pesticide when she declared her concerns to her boss. Arwen's boss's response, however, displays that he, and therefore the company, remained in a gray ethical area despite concerns raised. While the company's release of general safety guidance for the pesticide would imply that there would be risks or potential side effects to the use of their product, it deceptively convinces the user that the pesticide producer has been thorough with their work, and that as long as they followed the guidance, they would be fine. And while the company wouldn't technically be lying in these circumstances, withholding the fact that the pesticide was improperly tested is still deceptive and unethical. For example, this was the case during the mid to late 1900s when 2,4,5-trichlorophenoxyacetic acid was widely used. Now, 2,4,5-trichlorophenoxyacetic acid was a broadleaf plant defoliant developed in the 1940s. And what happened was that many complaints were made by farmers who alleged that it caused health problems, which was obviously a result of improper testing on the manufacturer's part. However, its manufacturers stated it posed no health risks and posed no health risks provided that the product is used as directed. Now, this ties into my point regarding the deceptive convincing of the product users that the manufacturer was responsible and thorough with their work. And in this instance, it caused a grave scandal, and in the 1980s, the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA for short, ended the use of 2,4,5-trichlorophenoxyacetic acid on food crops in the United States of America. The consequence for this company, which produced 2,4,5-trichlorophenoxyacetic acid, could very well be the same consequence Arwen's company will face, as both companies managed to be unethical and deceptive in their production, testing, and distribution of their products, ultimately failing to adhere to this crucial component of the Royal Academy Statement of Principles.
This is Ali Al-Mutadi, and I'll move on to the third fundamental principle, which is respect for life, law, and the public good. And this is the main principle that Arwen took into consideration when she found that the material that is being used in the company might have side effects because the material wasn't tested in a proper way. And a really good ethical action was made when she went to her boss to tell him what she found about the material, showing how she respects life and cares about the public good. On the other hand, we see her boss's reaction to her report, leading us to the fourth and the final fundamental principle, which is responsible leadership. And the boss shows a really bad example on this principle and how irresponsible he is by not listening to Arwen's notes or making any actions toward the side effects just because it is beneficial to the company. Thus, a lot of consequences may appear, making a negative impact on the environment, and that would reflect on the planet and human health, causing more damage over time and leading to a bigger problem. And that is very poor in the ethics terms. And by that, the fourth fundamental principle ends to start with the Alchemist Code of Conduct.
This is Mubarak Al-Azimi, and I'm going to be talking about the Alchemist Professional Code of Conduct. The Alchemist Professional Code of Conduct is created by the bylaws of the Institution of Chemical Engineering in order to protect and organize the competition amongst the engineers, while when they practice their expertise anywhere. It guarantees that competitors are not having any arguments unless if it was in the benefit of the community. Moreover, it demonstrates how to deal with any conflicts that occur between colleagues engineers. There are various rules in the Alchemist Professional Code of Conduct that regulate the competition of members and their professional relationship. This is a brief of these rules. The code cares about the professional competence, where it prevents any possible harms to health and safety, avoid negative impact on the environment, and it also assess the possible risk before initiating any process or operation. The code concern about professional relationship by assuring that individuals are distributed in the most appropriate position according to their qualifications. The supervisor in workplace must notify the institution if there was any significant violation of the code was convicted. Members are encouraged all time to develop themselves and progress in their major in order to improve. In addition, the code rejects all corrupted practices like bribery. If any member was suspected of doing an action that violates the code, there is a procedure to follow in order to either convict that member or clearing him. First of all, the institution sends a group of people called the Preliminary Investigation Committee, PIC. The committee collects evidence of that claim and decides whether there is a case or not to answer. If there was evidence to support that claim, PIC activates the disciplinary procedure. Second of all, the institution assigns a disciplinary committee, DC, to look into the case and have a full investigation. If the DC found by evidences that the member is indeed guilty, they have the authority to decide a suitable punishment for this case. All parties have the right to hire a lawyer. However, If a new evidence came up, the convicted member has the right to appeal within a month. If decided to appeal, a senior position person of the institution act as the appeal committee (AC). This person, with reference to the new evidence, can decide whether to appeal the DC decision or to proceed with it.
Hello, I am Abdin Huda. I shall now conclude with the 5-point code that will better Arwen's situation. The first step Arwen should take is to outline all the ethical issues surrounding the case. Conclusions shouldn't be drawn at this stage since it is only highlighting the key attribute surrounding the case. However, Arwen should take this time to check whether the trade association have been informed correctly, as this will consider the integrity which has gone into the manufacture of the product. Arwen should then inform her boss and receive feedback. Upon receiving feedback, Arwen should take a great deal of consideration of his manager's work history. Although her boss has been working for the company for 20 years, this doesn't necessarily translate to the level of credibility he has in product manufacture. It is also wise to consider that his intention may lean more towards creating a profit at the expense of consumers. Working with similar products only very roughly translate to working with the product that has similar properties. Getting such a response should urge Arwen to do some digging of her own and obtain unbiased information. Discovering that there have been cases of health problems caused by misuse of the product, and that a reason to go against the claim by laying part of the blame on the consumer, inferring that they should be more than capable of using the product in correct amounts. This also links back to Agent Orange, which has been used in the Vietnam War, which has undeniably caused health problems to people, which should raise alarm bells regarding the chemical's origins. Now that all the information is gathered, it is time to consider Arwen's risks associated if she were to blow the whistle. First of all, Arwen's a graduate employer, meaning that she should be more vigilant of her actions, as she doesn't have much knowledge of the company as other people, as well as her being the butt of authority by many other employers. Coming in hard is a surefire way of termination. A softer approach is advised, one where not much of the fault could be placed on her. Which leads me to my final point: to balance out positive intuitions with maintaining her graduate role. Arwen should leave an anonymous tip to the line manager. Reason why it is better to inform the line manager this rather than the trade association is because it gives space to the line manager to take control of the situation and places responsibility on the manager as well. The information regarding the product should only go as far back as to the 2,4,5-T scandal, with the compromise of its usage in Vietnam. The message here to be conveyed is just a simple disclaimer of the chemical's background.